Good morning, and it is a beautiful sunny Sunday morning, and I'm stuck in a dark office while my kid's up the park with his mum and recording this one for you guys. So hope you enjoy this one. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about Microsoft and do they require a big E3? I would say I think they do, yeah. I don't think it's make or break for them. But I do think they require to pull some stops out. I think they need to do something big. If you go back since the release of the Xbox One back in 2013, it's been a bit of a disaster for them a lot of the time. We had, all the stuff with if you want an offline gaming console, buy a 360, which we got from Matric. And then moving forward, we had issues with Scalebound being cancelled, Lionhead Studios being closed, and then move forward into this year. We've had Sea of Thieves, didn't get a particularly good reception. State of Decay hasn't had a particularly good reception, although it seems to have sold reasonably well. We're now getting rumours that Crackdown 3 may well be delayed again until next year. So what exactly have Microsoft got to offer us? Well, in terms of hardware and the service that they've offered us over the last few years, it's actually, it's got better and better. I actually think the Xbox as a platform is a really good platform. And I would argue that it's possibly better than the PlayStation platform in some respects. It swings and roundabouts, obviously, but I do think that the Xbox offers some things that the PlayStation doesn't. And I do think that overall, my personal experience with the Xbox has been a positive one. I've enjoyed using the console. However, going back to this stuff about games, that's really where it's important, isn't it, at the end of the day? The most important thing with a games console is in the name, games console. And Microsoft just haven't been delivering on that front, I'm sorry to say. Early on, I actually think that when the consoles first came out, despite all the other nonsense, Microsoft probably had a slightly better lineup. In fact, I argued as much at that time. I think some of the games that they were offering when the consoles first came out were better than the games that Sony were offering. And Sony didn't really hit their stride big time until 2016. But, since then, it's all been Sony. It's been game after game after game after game. And if you look at what Sony are offering this year, the PlayStation has got, so many great games. I've been playing God of War and it's a phenomenal game. It's so engrossing and engaging and so much fun to play. And then you compare that to the offerings from Microsoft, and I'm not the biggest critic of Sea of Thieves, and I haven't played State of Decay 2, so I can't comment on that one. But neither of them really come up to the same level as God of War, or if you look at something like Horizon Zero Dawn from last year. These are great single-player games, and they offer something that Microsoft doesn't. The first party from Microsoft just isn't there. And that's no news to anyone at this stage, is it? Let's be honest. The stuff that Microsoft are putting out, it just doesn't stack up. And even if you compare it against Nintendo, I'm not the biggest Nintendo fan, but arguably the games that Nintendo have put out over the last year or so have been better than the games coming from Xbox. There are some good games that we can look forward to from Xbox. Forza Horizon 4, which we're going to see at the end of the year, aren't we? I mean, that's going to be announced at E3. I'll be very surprised if it's not. But you can't keep putting out these games and expect people to just accept it. And I know, look, the argument, and I've made the argument, Nintendo keep putting the same games out, and they've been doing that for decades. And yes, that is true. But we need a little bit more from Microsoft. And like I say, the new IPs, if you like, Sea of Thieves, State of Decay, and I know it's State of Decay 2, but they've not really stacked up to the same level. I just think that Microsoft do need to double down on the first-party games. And I worry about where they're going to come from. We've heard that there's going to be a new Fable game, and I welcome that. I was never a huge fan of Fable, though I have friends who were. But if they announced a new Fable game, I think that would go some way. But the problem there is that if you look at how long it takes to make a game, are we really going to be seeing a new Fable game this year or even next year? if you look at Crackdown 3, if we have the same issues there, then it could be 3, 4, 5 years down the line before we see any new games. And it could be well into the next generation before we see new games. I saw rumours last week that we might be seeing a Sunset Overdrive 2. And I'd be happy to see a Sunset Overdrive 2. But again, when are we going to see that? I can honestly see that would be something that we're going to see anytime soon, given that the developers are already hard at work on the Spider-Man game for Sony. So, yeah, it's going to be a while before we see that, if at all. So where are Microsoft going to get these games from? Obviously, as I've already said, Fable, we'll be seeing that sometime down the road. But there were other IPs that Microsoft had to play with. And, we've got games that they've brought out with backwards compatibility, and they could maybe revisit some of those. I've already talked about the idea that Microsoft could do a Crimson Skies 2. I would love to see another Crimson Skies game, but how likely is that? And a lot of people didn't like Rise, Son of Rome. But if you look at Rise, Son of Rome is a hack and slash in the sort of line of God of War, which is a great game. And okay, like I say, Son of Rome was more of a tech demo in some ways, although I actually played quite deep into the game and I quite enjoyed it, I have to say. But if they were to do a sequel or even a reboot or something like that with the game, they could do something with that genre. We already know that people like that type of game because, as I say, God of War. And if they were to do something like Sony have done with God of War, then we could see Rise, Son of Rome could rise. It could be like a phoenix from the ashes. It could come out and it could be a really good game. But do Microsoft have the desire to do something like that? Do they want to put the money and the expertise and the development into making these kinds of games? And I do wonder if they do. And as I say, if we did see stuff like this, it's going to be a long way down the line. So I do wonder what we're going to see from Microsoft at E3. Apparently their E3 presentation is going to be long this year, but I don't exactly know what they're going to present to us. Unless it's going to be a whole load of deals that they've done with third-party developers to have timed exclusives and stuff like that. I mean, there have been rumours going around that we're going to see a new Splinter Cell game, and some people have speculated that the new Splinter Cell game is going to be a timed exclusive for the Xbox. And the fact is that Splinter Cell was a game that was quite associated with the Xbox in the past, so that would be a good fit. But again, I don't think that's enough. I've been waiting now for a couple of years for Microsoft to come and hit it out of the park with some very high quality games. And we've just not had it. And look, we may well be seeing stuff relating to Halo. We may well be seeing stuff relating to Gears of War. But again, is that going to be enough? I'm one of the people who like those games, and I would love to see the stuff relating to the Halo Master Chief Collection being tweaked for the Xbox One X and, delivering some of the improvements that we would see from those games if they did remasters for them like they did with the first Halo game. And I'd welcome that. But that's not really going to make anyone sit up and take notice, is it? Apart from the hardcore Halo fans. I'd be glad to see it, but I want to see some new IPs. Or at least I want to see Microsoft revisiting some IPs that they've done in the past. And as I say, Sunset Overdrive and Rise, Son of Rome would be the perfect games for that, because they are games that had potential that weren't fully realised. I think Sunset Overdrive was a better game than Rise in many respects, although Rise was an absolutely gorgeous game. It certainly wasn't anything to write home about in any other respect. But it was a solid game. It was better than a lot of people said it was. It just wasn't anything that was going to set the world alight. I do think that Microsoft have done great work with the hardware. I think they've done great work with the platform. I just do think that they're going to need to come out swinging at E3 and give us something. And not just something, but a few things. And it has to be game related. Giving us the announcement about the controller for disabled people was fantastic, and I support all their work in those areas. These are fantastic things for them to be doing to increase inclusivity within the gaming market, if you like, within gaming itself, and allow people with all sorts of different disabilities to be able to use a console or a PC. I think that's fantastic, and I applaud them for that. But it's all very well having a controller that opens up gaming to people with disabilities. It doesn't really help if there are no games to play with that controller. As I say, and I keep saying it, the platform and the hardware is great. I cannot praise Microsoft enough for what they've done in the last couple of years in that area. I think they've done really, really well. But the flip side of that is, from a gaming standpoint, wow, it's yawn-inducing, frankly. I want to see something exciting. Sony, with the PlayStation 4, have been exciting me. Even Switch, to some degree, has been exciting me. But Microsoft in the game arena simply hasn't. I just can't get excited about it at the moment. And Microsoft need to turn that round. Because I'm a fan. I like the Xbox. Always have. The Xbox was the first console I ever bought. I mean, I had computers and I had the Commodore 64 and stuff before that. But the actual console that I bought was the Xbox, the original Xbox. And if you guys follow my channel, you even see that I went out and got the Hyperkin Duke for nostalgia's sake the other week. And I love the platform. I haven't got an axe to grind, if you like, in this one. I haven't got a dog in a race. Microsoft means no more to me than Sony or Nintendo or anyone else. They're just a company that sells us products. But I have enjoyed playing with the original Xbox and the 360, and they were both great consoles. And I think the Xbox One, and specifically the X, have the potential to be great consoles. But you can't have a great console without great games. So E3 this year, Microsoft need to come out swinging, and they need to give us something. Because if I'm bored, you can bet your bottom dollar Joe Public are bored. Anyway, that's me done. Let me know in the comments what you think. This one was unscripted, so I'm sorry if I've repeated myself a few times, but I just wanted to get this one off my chest. And I'm going to go and grab myself a cup of tea and wait for my kid to come in from the park. And I'll speak to you guys in the next one. Bye.